Before I came to Ecuador, almost everyone had advice. Be careful. Don't walk alone. Keep your phone out of sight. Funny thing about fear, it usually arrives before you do. Most of us have never been to Ecuador. Yet, somehow we've already decided what it is. Not because we've been there, but because somewhere between breaking news, social media, and algorithms designed to keep us scrolling, someone else wrote the first chapter. The headlines weren't lying. Ecuador has struggled with violence, political instability, and organized crime. Those stories matter. But headlines have a habit of reducing entire countries to their worst day. और शायद यही हमारी सबसे बड़ी कमजोरी है. हम अक्सर पूरी कौम को उसकी बदतरीन खबर से पहचानने लगते हैं. Meanwhile, someone is opening a bakery before sunrise. A taxi driver is trying to get his daughter through university. Friends are arguing over last night's football match. Life goes on. It just doesn't make the evening news. So, I bought a ticket. Not to prove the headlines wrong, but to meet the people they forgot to mention. The first thing Ecuador teaches you is humility. Not philosophically, physically. Quito sits nearly 9,000 feet above sea level, which is a polite way of saying the city has absolutely no interest in your fitness goals. 2 flights of stairs and suddenly you're negotiating with your lungs. I actually like places that do that. Places that refuse to adjust themselves for you. They remind you that the world existed long before your arrival and will continue just fine after you leave. सफर कभी-कभी नई जगह नहीं दिखाता. वो सिर्फ आपको याद दिलाता है कि दुनिया आपके इर्द-गिर्द नहीं घूमती. Quito is a city of contradictions. Colonial churches stand beside busy cafes. Centuries-old plazas filled with people checking TikTok. History isn't trapped in museums here. It's walking to work, buying groceries, waiting for the bus. And like every city with a long memory, some parts of its history are easier to celebrate than others. Because beautiful buildings often come with uncomfortable stories. The architecture survived. Many of the people who built it never had the chance to tell theirs. तारीख अक्सर विनर्स को याद रखती है, मगर उसके जख्म हमेशा आम लोग उठाते हैं. I've noticed something about travel. The more certain I am about a place before I arrive, the less I usually understand it. Real understanding is slower. It happens over coffee, inside taxis, at family-run restaurants, in conversations that never make it onto an itinerary. Maybe that's why travel can be uncomfortable, because every meaningful trip asks you to leave something behind. Sometimes it's your routine, sometimes it's your assumptions. I kept asking myself a question during those first few days. How many places have I judged without ever giving them the chance to introduce themselves? How many people? How many cultures? How many stories? It's easy to inherit opinions. It's much harder to earn them. शायद इसीलिए सफ़र इतना ज़रूरी है. ये सिर्फ दुनिया नहीं दिखाता, ये आपको अपनी सच्चाइयों पर दोबारा गौर करना सिखाता है. A few days later, someone told me there was a place just outside Quito, where families had built their lives inside the crater of a volcano. I laughed. I thought they were joking. They were not. And that's when Ecuador stopped being a country and started becoming a conversation. The road to Pululahua doesn't feel unusual until someone tells you you're driving into a volcano, not climbing one, into one. The first time I looked across the crater, I didn't see disaster. I saw farms, homes, children playing. Smoke rising from kitchen chimneys. People had built entire lives inside a place created by destruction. There's something beautifully human about that. A volcano erupts, centuries pass. Someone plants potatoes, someone builds a home, someone falls in love. Life has a remarkable habit of growing where we are convinced it shouldn't. शायद इंसान की सबसे बड़ी ताकत यही है। हम खंडरात में भी घर बना लेते हैं और राख में भी उम्मीद तलाश कर लेते हैं। Standing there, I realized resilience usually doesn't look heroic. It looks ordinary. It's waking up before sunrise, making breakfast, going to work, helping your neighbor, doing it all again tomorrow. Maybe we have romanticized resilience because we've forgotten what it actually looks like. Not long after, I found myself thinking about Ecuador's indigenous communities. We often treat indigenous cultures like they are frozen in time, as if they only exist in museums, history books, or tourist brochures. But they're not relics. They are neighbors, teachers, farmers, parents. They're still here. It's still shaping this country. It's still protecting ways of seeing the world that existed long before modern borders did. हम अक्सर तरक्की को नई बिल्डिंगों और इमारतों से नापते हैं, लेकिन आज भी कुछ लोग ऐसे हैं जो तरक्की को जमीन के साथ अपने रिश्ते से नापते हैं. And maybe that's where modern society and indigenous wisdom begin asking very different questions. We have learned to ask, what can I take from this land? Many indigenous communities begin somewhere else. How do I belong to it? Those are two very different philosophies. One builds economies, the other builds relationships. Maybe our future needs both. Then there was chocolate, which sounds far less philosophical until you see where it begins. Before chocolate becomes a luxury, it's a fruit hanging from a tree. Messy, sticky, nothing like the polished bars sitting on supermarket shelves. Someone grows it, someone harvests it, someone waits for the right weather. Someone spent days fermenting and drying the beans before the world ever calls it premium. I think we've become very good at admiring finished products, not so good at appreciating the people who make them possible. हम अक्सर ब्रांड नेम्स को तो जानते हैं, मगर किसानों के नाम नहीं जिन्होंने ये काम शुरू किया होता है. That isn't just true for chocolate, it's true for almost everything. Coffee, clothes, phones, even the stories we consume. The farther we are from the people doing the work, the easier it becomes to forget they exist. One afternoon, I asked someone what they loved most about Ecuador. I expected them to mention the mountains, maybe the food, the beaches. Instead, they smiled and said, "The people still make time for each other." That moved me, because where I come from, being busy has somehow become a status symbol. If someone asks how we're doing, we don't usually say happy, we say busy, and then go about explaining why. शायद हमने कामयाबी की तारीफ ही गलत लिख दी है. हमने वक्त कमाना छोड़ दिया और सिर्फ पैसा कमाना शुरू कर दिया. The older I get, the less impressed I am by people with full calendars. And the more impressed I am by people who still have time to sit down for tea. Ecuador surprised me, not because it was perfect. It isn't. Not because the headlines were false. They were not. It surprised me because real places refuse to fit inside simple stories. A country can struggle and still be generous. A city can carry pain and still laugh. People can have very little and still make you feel like you've been given something. Maybe that's why travel matters. Not because it confirms what we already believe, because every now and then it quietly asks us to believe something better. The more time I spent here, the less interested I became in asking whether Ecuador was dangerous. I started asking a different question. What if the most dangerous thing about a country is thinking you've already understood it? By the time I left Ecuador, I realized I'd spent far less time learning about the country than I had unlearning myself. The headlines weren't wrong, they were simply incomplete. And maybe that's true of most things: places, people, even ourselves. We have a habit of reducing everything to its loudest moment. One mistake, one failure, one bad year, one headline, as if an entire life can be summarized by a single chapter. शायद इसीलिए हम एक दूसरे को समझने से पहले एक दूसरे का फैसला सुना देते हैं। कहानी मुकम्मल होने से पहले ही अंजाम लिख देते हैं। Travel has made me suspicious of certainty. The more countries I visit, the less interested I become in people who have all the answers. Curiosity has become far more valuable than confidence, because confidence closes conversations. Curiosity begins them. One of the strange things about leaving a country is realizing what actually comes home with you. Not the souvenirs, not the photographs, not even the passport stamp. Those are reminders. The real things you bring home are much harder to pack. A different definition of success, a conversation with a stranger, the realization that happiness sounds remarkably similar no matter what language it's spoken in, and the uncomfortable understanding that maybe the life you have been chasing isn't the only way to live. सफर का सबसे बड़ा तोहफा यादगारें नहीं होती, वो नए सवाल होते हैं, ऐसे सवाल जो वापसी के बाद भी आपका पीछा नहीं छोड़ते. I still think about the people living inside that volcano. Not because it's unusual, because after a while it stopped feeling unusual. It just became life. And maybe that's the point. Human beings have always found ways to build homes after earthquakes, after wars, after heartbreak, after losing everything. Hope rarely arrives with an announcement. Most of the time, it quietly plants a garden. There's something else Ecuador reminded me of. We spend a lot of our lives trying to make the world smaller. We categorize people, we simplify countries, we reduce cultures to stereotypes. It makes the world easier to understand. It also makes it less true. Reality is almost never simple. The kindest people can carry enormous pain. The poorest neighborhoods can be filled with extraordinary generosity. The safest looking places can hide loneliness. And the countries we're taught to fear can be filled with people who welcome you like an old friend. Maybe the world isn't divided into good places and bad places. Maybe it's simply divided into places we've taken the time to understand and places we haven't taken the time to understand. और शायद इंसान भी ऐसे ही होते हैं. कुछ लोगों को हम समझने की कोशिश करते हैं और कुछ के बारे में सिर्फ सुना होता है. I came to Ecuador carrying other people's opinions. I left carrying other people's stories. There's a difference. Opinions create distance. Stories create understanding. One tells you what to think, the other quietly asks you to think again. And lately, I find myself trusting stories much more than opinions. So, was Ecuador dangerous? Sometimes. Was it beautiful? Absolutely. Was it complicated? Yes, like every place worth knowing, like every person worth loving, like every life worth living. Maybe that's what travel has been trying to teach me all along. Not that the world is safer than we think, not that it's more dangerous than we think, simply that it's more human than we think. और शायद यही सफर का असल मकसद है, दुनिया को बदलना नहीं बल्कि अपनी नजर बदलना. Because the moment your perspective changes, the world quietly changes with it. I arrived in Ecuador looking for a country. I left having found a question. How many people, how many places, how many possibilities have I misunderstood? Because I accepted someone else's first chapter instead of staying long enough to read the rest. Honestly, I don't know the answer. But I have a feeling it's a question worth traveling for. And that's why I encourage you to go where your ego gets quiet.